Welcome everyone, welcome to Liverpool. And for those of you who've been away, welcome back to Liverpool. And welcome to the beautiful Tung Auditorium. It's lovely to see you all here today. So I'm here with just a few housekeeping announcements and to tell you all a little bit about how the ceremony is going to work this afternoon. So first of all, we're not expecting a fire drill. So if the fire alarm does sound, can you please exit through the exit at the top or one of the exits at the side of the stage, and you'll be guided by our stewards to the muster station in Abercrombie Square. We don't think that's going to happen though. So firstly, to our graduates, can I ask if you all have your name cards in your hand? Not in mum's bag or in the envelope. Okay, can I see the name cards? Can you give me a wave? Fantastic. Keep your name cards in your hand. You will need them when you come up to be presented. So how it will work is row by row, you'll be invited to stand and queue in the corridor out here. Each person will then be directed to come and stand on the black line we've got on the floor here. You'll hand your name card into the presenting officer, who'll be stood where I am. When your name is called, you'll then make your way to the centre of the stage. There's a black mark on the floor in case you need it, but I'm sure you'll know where the centre is. You'll pause, doff your cap, and then continue to the end of the stage where you'll be guided back to your seat. Okay? Is everybody okay with doffing the cap? Shall we practice? All you need to do is hold the peak of your mortarboard, nod your head, and release. Easy as that. Well done, that looked great. Okay, fix your tassels if you've messed your tassels up. Let's get them all nice and neat. Remember, this is live streamed, we want to look our best. Okay, so now to the most important people in the room, our guests. We have a very, very important job for you to do today, and that is to show your appreciation and your pride today by giving the biggest, loudest round of applause every time one of the names are announced. Shall we practice? Fantastic. Would you like to know how many times I'm going to ask you to do that? 120. Okay, so I know a lot of you will be taking lovely photos and recording the event today, and you're more than welcome to do that. Can I just ask you all to stay in your seats so you don't obscure the view of the guests behind you? For anyone that has already taken nice photos and maybe was inclined to pop them on Instagram or Twitter, if you use the hashtag #LiveUniGrad, you can then pop along to the Mountford Hall where you'll be able to receive a free print of your photos. And just a reminder that today's ceremony is live streamed on the internet. So if you haven't already informed friends and family that they can also follow today's ceremony, it might be worth sending a quick text. And they'll need to log on to liverpool.ac.uk/graduation. Okay, and the last thing from me is just to ask you all please to pop your phones on silent and any devices you have onto silent, and we'll begin today's ceremony. Thank you. Graduates and guests, please stand for your senior officers of the University of Liverpool.
Please be seated. I declare this congregation for the celebration of our graduates open. So, good afternoon everyone and welcome to your graduation ceremony. It's great to be able to welcome you here in person after what for you has been some delay. So I'm Professor Tom Whalley. I'm standing in today for Louise Kenny, the EPVC for Faculty of Health and Life Sciences, unable to be here today. So first of all, I want to say what a great privilege it is and a pleasure to be here with you today as we celebrate this really important milestone in your lives, together with your families and your fellow students and your lecturers and lots of other people who've supported you on your journey to graduation here in Liverpool. Now, today is a special day for you. It's a day to celebrate your achievements, to thank your family and friends for all their support, and maybe to reflect. So, like most of you, I'm a medic by background, so when I graduated and I was in your situation, I remember my graduation day. I'll come back to that. And what I remember was, first of all, a degree of pride and relief that I was finished my studies at long last, a degree of sadness that I was now abandoning my student ways and having to be more serious in future, and a degree of fear of what was going to happen to me when I moved into clinical practice a week later. So that's what might have happened. You never quite know what's going to happen in the long run. I did not expect to be standing up here in front of a group of medical students and new graduates one day when I qualified. But for you, of course, it's been very different because you've been students and health professionals at a time like no other in history. Students in universities all over the country and all over the world have had their studies enormously disrupted by the pandemic. And your end of university experience has not been what you might have expected and hoped for. So no end of year balls or dinners, no parties or maybe just a few, and even your graduation delayed until today. So medical student life is not easy at the best of times. And for the past 2 years, first as students and then as doctors, it's been very, very tough for you. Now, your experience and your well-being has always been at the forefront of our thinking and our decision-making. And over the last few months of your course, we had to think through how would we balance your teaching arrangements, how would we even balance your safety on campus and on placements. And we know this has not been easy for you. We know you've had long days and sleepless nights and difficult times brought about by these extraordinary global circumstances. Now, COVID-19 has devastated and divided people and continues to do so, but it's brought out the best of human spirit at times too. So, as a faculty, we pride ourselves on rising to a challenge and facing the problems of society and putting our hand up and saying we can help. And you showed that spirit too. You had to become experts on the online delivery and receipt of education. You had to develop online communities of care. You undertook your later clinical placements under the most difficult of circumstances, when there was no vaccinations, when PPE was in short supply, and when, frankly, none of us quite knew where this was all going. So you were the people who stepped up to volunteer as healthcare assistants to help out during the worst of the pandemic. Or when vaccinations did become available, you were the ones who assisted in the largest programme ever in the NHS. One of you even jabbed me. But you may not recognise me, and I don't recognise you because you're both wearing masks. So you are the people who stepped up at the most vulnerable and critical time in the whole history of the NHS since its foundation. And you're the people who have now stepped into the breach to relieve your hard-pressed and battle-weary NHS colleagues to help the NHS and the people we serve. So as students and now as health professionals, you've modelled the highest values of your noble profession. You've shown care and compassion and respect and expertise, and you've carried on doing it over the months since you qualified. You've worked with dedication and resilience in difficult circumstances to serve your patients. And you'll know of the enormous respect that anyone on the street has for what you've been able to achieve during that time. You've certainly been NHS and maybe even University of Liverpool heroes. And I invite your family and friends to applaud what you've achieved. One thing is certain, every single one of you here today has shown remarkable spirit and dedication. You didn't do it alone, although no doubt there have been many lonely and even scary times over the past 2 years, particularly in the early days of the pandemic. You did it by supporting one another, by being supported by your teachers, by being supported by your fellow professionals, and by being supported especially by your family and friends, and I hope some of them are here today to join you. And your family and friends in particular can be very proud of that. And in the university, and here I speak for the whole university, the faculty, and particularly for Professor Hazel Scott as Dean of the School of Medicine and all the staff in the School of Medicine, are immensely proud of what you've been able to achieve and how you've demonstrated adaptability, perseverance, and a real commitment to others, and at times courage in what you've had to do to achieve high-quality patient care. So we are inspired by you and by what you have achieved. Now today is all about you, about your achievements and your personal successes here at the University of Liverpool. It's also a day to look forward to the future and to feel excited about your aspirations and your career and your future study plans. One thing the pandemic has shown us is that we never quite know what the future holds, but that advances in science will be essential to help us deal with that future. The person in the street now understands the importance of research in health and life sciences like never before. Everybody is an expert in epidemiology, and everybody can talk about R numbers and exponential growth and spike proteins in clinical trials. And undoubtedly, the vaccines and drugs to combat COVID, each of which is the result of intense medical and scientific research, have been vital in allowing us to achieve some kind of normality and allow us to be here today. So there's continued need to research into COVID-19, whether it's the question of long COVID and the long-term effects of the pandemic on mental health or how we manage health inequities. So we can't talk about uncertainty about what the future holds without reflecting on the very dark turn that history has taken in the past week. So 8 days ago, I was here talking to class of 2020, and I gave a comparison of their experiences working through the pandemic, and indeed yours, with what I remember being told by some of my teachers long ago at the time I qualified. People who were consultants when I qualified had often been house officers or junior or medical students during the Second World War, during the Blitz. And they had achieved amazing things in the most difficult of circumstances. And I lightheartedly made a comparison and said that the pandemic was your Blitz moment. But given what's happened in the past 8 days and what's going on as we speak in Ukraine, I really can't talk about that lightheartedly. So, people in Ukraine are experiencing a terrible, cruel war. Man's inhumanity to man goes on. So that's a gloomy note to put into a day which should be all about celebration of your successes. But there's hope in humanity too, and you are that hope. So in your professional careers, you're going to see new diseases come and hopefully go. This pandemic too will pass, but there will be other challenges of all kinds. When I first qualified over 40 years ago, the CT scanner had just been invented. And nowadays, you can't get in and out of the A&E department without having a CT scan. We used the acronym AIDS, but it stood for autoimmune diseases, because no one had ever heard of HIV disease. And 40 years on, HIV disease is not curable, but is now treatable and compatible with a normal life expectancy in most cases. When I qualified, the life expectancy of a woman diagnosed with breast cancer was 41 months, and about 35% 5-year survival. And the figure now is 76% 10-year survival. So we haven't conquered breast cancer, but we're doing a lot better than we were, and we will continue to do a lot better in the future. Advances in science have changed the outlook of people for the better. So what's going to change in the course of your career? Well, COVID didn't exist as you finished your third year of medical school, as far as we knew. and undoubtedly there will be lots of new technologies that will be developed, which hopefully will result in better patient outlook, improvement in many diseases and conditions. In particular, as we move towards prevention rather than cure of disease, and the NHS moves past being more of a true health service rather than a deal with sickness service. So many of you, of course, will spend most of your careers working for the NHS. And as you've learned in the past 6 or 8 months, working in the NHS is not always easy in all kinds of ways. It's an organisation that's constantly changing to meet the demands of its patients and changes in disease and patterns of care. And I'm conscious that for all its flaws, the NHS remains the finest health service in the world, and I'm conscious that you will want to play your role in helping keep it in that place. Some things won't change for you, so I'm going to flag up 3 of those perhaps. The first is the need to be a lifelong learner. You've learned an enormous amount in the past 6 months now that you've actually been out in the field, so to speak. And for the rest of your life, you've got to commit yourselves to being curious, to asking questions, and always striving to do things better. So I'll offer you a motto here: nisi satis nil optimum. Latin, and I'll translate it as only the best is good enough. One of the paradoxes of graduation is that normally I'd be standing here telling you you've done wonderfully well in your studies and now you're fit to be let loose on the public. But you know better than that at this stage. So you know how patients can be your best teachers. I hope you'll always question if in your care of those patients you're doing the best you can and if you're doing it as well as you can. But the other side of that is you're going to make mistakes. So forgive yourself when you do and learn from those mistakes. The second thing I'd point out is the need to support one another. As friends, as colleagues, because we're all members of a great profession and we all share the aim of improving the health and well-being of our patients and of the population, whether that's the people of Liverpool or more broadly. Having offered you a blue motto a moment ago, I'll offer you a red one: you'll never walk alone. So depend on your colleagues as they depend on you, but be understanding of human frailty, because you're human and you're frail too. And the third thing that won't change is the very core of your profession, and never compromise on that. So never compromise on compassion, which is the hardest of all qualities. Never compromise the respect you show your patients or your colleagues, or your own integrity and honesty, or your willingness to go the extra mile, because these are things that your patients will need from you. Be kind to your patients, the most important thing, but also be kind to yourself and to your colleagues. You can't measure or touch kindness, but like many things that really count, that can't be counted, it's really important. You'll certainly see the most difficult moments in many people's lives. Your patients expect and deserve your complete commitment, and it's often very hard to give that commitment. When you're tired and exhausted and you're frustrated and you're having a bad day, it's really hard to deliver that commitment. But never forget that however bad a day you're having, your patient's probably having a much worse one, and they deserve your best care. Give your patient hope. Let them have confidence in you, even at times, as you've discovered in the past few months, when you don't particularly have confidence in yourselves in all kinds of ways. Ease the worst thing that afflicts your patient, which is fear. So smile, and maybe when the pandemic is over, shake hands and hug and offer a shoulder to cry on. And I hope there's nobody here from infection control today. So grab hold of those 1,000 little moments, all those little acts and gestures that can change the lives of your patients. And remember, sometimes the best thing to do, and sometimes the only thing to do, is just listen and be witness. But these are qualities that you've displayed in abundance in the past few years. So I'm personally very reassured when I look at you, because I know that I and thousands of others are going to depend on you to deliver these qualities over the next few years. It's a great privilege to be able to be good to people. And you're privileged to be members of this profession. But never doubt for one moment that profession is privileged to have you as members as well. So I have one last piece of advice, which is enjoy your work and your career. Knowing that what you do really matters is a great thought at the end or start of a day. Knowing that people are better and their lives are better because of what you do, whether that's in clinical care or in research. So we hope that today is a day for you to enjoy a return to this great city. and for you and your guests to receive a warm welcome from the university. We hope that the City of Liverpool will always feel like home to you whenever you return. You may have chosen to stay here after you've qualified, or it may be that you came from here in the first place. But whatever your relationship with the city, you hope you'll always think of it as a place where you've made friends and memories that will last a lifetime. The Victoria building, the one with the clock tower that you're all having your photograph taken in front of earlier on, that's a building you've walked past many times as a student. And there's a plaque on it which you may never have noticed. But written on that plaque is the motto of the university. And it reads, "For the advancement of learning and the ennoblement of life." And that's the foundation on which the university is based, and it guides us in all that we do. Our aim is to inspire, engage, and challenge every student to fulfill your potential by raising your awareness, helping you shift barriers, and providing opportunities. And you have advanced your learning, and you have and you will continue to ennoble life. You've been stretched to think beyond the textbook, the lecture theatre, and the laboratory, and you've been encouraged to apply that knowledge to the world around you. Your University of Liverpool education has enabled you to realise just how far you can go, but the journey's only just started. The university has a long and successful history of graduating inspiring students just like you who will go on to achieve great things. And you've now joined our talented community of past students and graduates. And this is a really important part of the university. You've come across it perhaps as students through contact with people giving lectures or mentors or offering work placements or whatever. And certainly in professional terms, many of the local doctors are Liverpool graduates, as you'll know. So this is a fundamentally important part of our family, and we hope that you, like a lot of our past students, will stay in touch with us and help us to guide and support our future students and broaden their horizons through your experiences. Because it's through you that the university is known. You're our greatest ambassadors. Through your achievements and your careers, you will become the role models and the inspirations for next generations of students. You may not think of yourselves in those terms yet, but you will. So let's all celebrate together today. Let's thank your lecturers and your teachers who've provided you with the training and support to become practical, compassionate, and resilient in your career with the skills and qualities you need to work in your chosen career today, but more importantly, the skills that you need to develop what you're going to have to need in the future, because things are going to change. There's always change ahead. And especially let us thank your family and friends. You may be the ones who've gotten through medical school, but they've been with you every step of the way along that journey. They've shared your ups and downs. They've made sacrifices to get you here. And the pandemic has surely made us appreciate our loved ones and the experience and memories we made together. So we should take a moment to celebrate the role that they've played, and I hope many of them are here today, in your success. I hope you'll find time to thank them for their support and their personal sacrifice. So graduates, let me ask you to stand and face your family and friends and applaud them. So despite all the challenges of the past 2 years, I hope you'll remember many happy and joyful moments during your time at the University of Liverpool. Never forget how important you are to the university. You are the heartbeat of the university. Without you, the university is just lecture rooms, even just red bricks. So when we work together, the university is where discoveries are made, where lives are changed, where careers are developed. So when we work together as staff and as students, that education is transformational, as I believe it has been for all of you. So we thank you for all that you've done over the past few years and in your time here, and we all wish you good luck and every success in the future. Thank you. Now it gives me great pleasure to invite the Dean of the School of Medicine, Professor Hazel Scott, to address the congregation.
Good afternoon. As Dean of the School of Medicine, I'm thrilled to welcome you back to campus and to be celebrating with you today. In preparing for today, I was a little worried that my emotions might get the better of me in seeing you all again. And I must admit, as I stand before you now, that that is very much the case. I echo Professor Wally's sentiments, commending the tremendous dedication you have shown in completing your studies and embarking on a professional career during such a time of uncertainty. However, I'm conscious that nearly 2 years on from the start of the pandemic, it's easy to forget how unsettling and, quite frankly, how scary it all was. The shifting national messages, alarming statistics, the scramble for the right PPE, and sourdough starter. In those first planning meetings with the school leadership team, I had no doubt that you would take the adjustments that had to be made to your programme in your stride. From the sinking reality of that electives lecture, to online group teaching, top tips recordings and catch-up placements, the change was a roller coaster for us all. But I knew that you and our surrounding clinical community would enable us to find the best way forward that we could together. But what I didn't know was just how ready you were to do that, and so much more. The ongoing commitment to your studies, matched with the burning desire to play your part, to lend a hand, to show in your everyday that a life in healthcare is much more than a job or a chosen career path. It is a calling, a vocation, or as the Declaration of Geneva puts it, a dedication of our lives to the service of humanity. As the pandemic unfolded, you took up opportunities as healthcare assistants and volunteers to help care for patients in our communities. You kept spirits high here at the school, inventing creative ways to interact as a student community through online conferences, revision sessions, yoga classes, and variety performances. What you lot don't know about Zoom isn't worth knowing. As we moved into 2021, you were the glimmer of hope that the region was waiting for, as you powered the vaccination effort in your hundreds, helping to protect some of the most vulnerable patients in our communities. People who hadn't left the house in months, who were hungry not only for the protection and peace of mind that the jabs provided, but for a chat, a kind word, a smile, which you readily provided. And now you're back with us, from clinical settings up and down the country and beyond, from a health service continuing to face the demands and challenges of an ongoing pandemic. We are immensely proud of what you have achieved, of the difference you continue to make, and deeply grateful to those who have supported you, your family and friends, whether here today or with you in spirit, for everything they did to enable you to take those very first steps into medical school, and for all the encouragement that they have given along the way. If the last couple of years have taught us anything, it is, I believe, the importance of our care for the NHS we serve, for the teams around us, and for ourselves. Caring for our NHS through vaccination, through ensuring rotas are staffed, through all the extra steps to enable creaking IT systems to deliver. Caring for others in speaking out and up, in asking for help and checking in with a how are you? Now, how are you really? And care of yourself, trusting that you can rise to the challenge, can make a difference, and taking time for those important connections and for all those other talents that make you who you are. For us at the school and at our partner trusts across the region, we have seen with our own eyes what you are capable of, and we are proud to look to you as our esteemed colleagues as we move forwards together to the big, bright futures that await you and the fascinating developments in healthcare that you will shape. The doctors I know so well here today are so much more than the title doctor conveys. You are the bright, knowledgeable, resourceful, dedicated, team-playing, fun-loving combination that marks you as a Liverpool doctor. I do hope you will continue to connect with us at the university, to come back and volunteer with us, research with us, teach with us, and inspire the next generation to follow in your footsteps. For now, my warmest congratulations and best wishes for the future. Thank you. Thank you. Bro Vice-Chancellor, it gives me tremendous pleasure to present to you the following graduates from the class of 2021. Darcy Fido. Thank you. Thanks. Andrew Sharma. James Lewis Turnbull. Katie Louise Whitley. Joseph Frederick Wood. Catherine Elizabeth Needs. Surya Soman. Stephen Vasey. Timothy Chi Young Wong. Fraser Angus William Snowden. Nawani Thikshana Sanaskala Wikramalanthi. Sarah Jenny Pujalenthi. Luke Skillen. Daniel Joseph Murphy. Daniel Stephen Robinson. Bubarayi Robson Uko. Christopher Bioku Betts. Jennifer McLaughlin. Joseph Martin Pierman. Tanya Sarson. Monica Mikhail. Dylan Narendra Mistry. Kirsty Small. Henry Joseph Dundas Maudsley. Vinishawar Pal Singh. Abdul Nasir Wardak. Tilly Jane Bates. Joseph Thomas Reed. Killian Daniel David Courtney. Christopher Thomas Curry. Zoe Georgina Spink. Jessica Sarah Lilly. Lisa Gabrielle Williams. Hannah Myrat Quigley. Ashwin Nair. Hassan Al-Haq. Edward Wright. Nasrian Mohammed. Georgina Amy Lee. John Patrick O'Neill. Matthew Edward Ryan. Rebecca Margaret Nager. Jacqueline Scott Basaldua. Mina Ragheb. Nadia Taha. Timololuwa Oluwasian Oluokun. Priya Sota. Soraya Kerswell. Sophia Zulueta. William Ellis Roberts. Ria Khanna. Millie Prime. Sarah Williams. Emily Murphy. Aisha Amina Binti Mansour. Yi Ken Koo. Siobhan Zhuwen Tan. Raymond Stephen Wijia.
I would now like to invite Professor Rachel Williams, Professor of Ophthalmic Bioengineering and Interim Head of the Department of Eye and Vision Science, to present one of the university's faculty's Learning, Teaching and Student Experience Awards.
It gives me great pleasure to present one of the university's Learning, Teaching and Student Experience Awards. These awards recognise, value and reward staff who have made an outstanding contribution to innovation in teaching and supporting learning. Our university has numerous examples of exceptionally talented and committed staff who work extremely hard to ensure our students receive an excellent experience while at university. Teaching and learning at Liverpool is undertaken within a culture of research excellence, and these awards reflect the value we place in providing our students with a high-quality educational experience worthy of a leading Russell Group institution. Our award winner, being honoured today, is recognised for developing a novel digital learning resource that helps make challenging concepts in science or respiratory medicine easier to understand. Tough Topics in Medicine Made Easy is a peer-reviewed resource of educational material that comprehensively covers topics in an interactive manner, bringing together different resources in one place to provide a vital tool for learning. It includes animations, interactive tools and self-assessment throughout to help students test their understanding of key concepts such as homeostasis and blood gas interpretation. The resources already had a significant and measurable impact on medical and life sciences students' learning, experience and progression. Students report that the interactive elements help them to grasp complex concepts that can be difficult to explain in the traditional lecture format alone. Tough Topics has proved so useful that it has already been adopted UK-wide to support the respiratory education of healthcare professionals, including during this COVID-19 crisis. So collecting her award today from the Institute of Life Course and Medical Sciences is Dr. Helen Wallace.
Just hang on. Pro Vice-Chancellor, I'm delighted to present to you the remaining graduates from the class of 2021. Benjamin Shelley. Nima Jabin Malik. Sumirat Mandan Keshwara. Vishal Parekh. Olivia Sullivan. Emily Shaw. Emily Thomas. Rachel Rosevich. Agnes Francis. Abigail Townsend. Rachel Frackleton. Ruby May Chubb Williams. Catherine Ann Mayer Williams. Patrick Lovett. Max Norrington. Peggy Kirkwood. Thomas Mayer. Joanna Sarah Taylor. Aileen Toner. Abigail Rose Maxwell Hodkinson. Rory McKenna. Thomas William Morris. Darshan Nitchingham. Zainab Masood Khan. Rana Tahun. Sabrina Luana Masson. Amy Lister. Victoria Simpson. Claudia Dosi. Belinda Nahal. Karishma Nursaya. Manur Shahid. Harrison Ernest Mycroft. Wan Yi Teo. Rebecca Elizabeth Ann Sinden. Io Phillips. Agatha Grace Milner. Alexander James Catron Walmsley. Neve Ann O'Reilly. Charlotte Louise Jane Kelly. Darab Khan. Dominique Elizabeth Alice Redding. Jack James Howell Etienne. Florence Wilson. Gautam Mehta. Jane Newell. Rashad Khalil. Tayaba Rice. Rabia Khalik. Matthew Kurian. Ritu Susan Phillip. Alan Roby. Olivia Folasade Amy Adedokunbo Olojahungbi. Olufemi Olamide Oladipo Olatigbi. Gamuchirai Netta. Haley Bria Justina McFarlane.
So well done to all our graduates. Now it's customary at this point that we invite one of the graduates to address the congregation and share his or her experiences. So I'd like to invite Olivia Olajahungbe to come to the podium and tell us about her time.
Pro-Vice-Chancellor, distinguished guests, friends, family, and fellow graduates. I'm honoured to speak to you today on such an important day in our lives. Delivering a speech 9 months after graduation, another strain of coronavirus, and after a string of night shifts this week, is not quite how I initially imagined my graduation, but I can think of no other place I would rather be right now than celebrating with you all here today. We're in a somewhat unique position, having spent the last 8 months working for the NHS. So much has changed since we first put on our scrubs that I didn't quite know where to begin, but one thing I do know is that I would not be the person I am today without the experiences I have gained from studying at the University of Liverpool. And what a beautiful city and a beautiful day. In my last year, I was lucky enough to become president of Artifacts, the University of Liverpool Medical School's Performing Arts Society. It's one of the things that I'm most proud of in my life, especially having raised over £3,000 for local charities through online events and showcases during lockdown. This speaks to one of the many great things about studying at the University of Liverpool. It doesn't just provide opportunities to flourish outside of your academic life, it encourages it. I think first year me would never have dreamed that during my time here, I'd perform on stage at the O2 Academy, lift the cup at a medics hockey final, complete the Yorkshire Three Peaks, start the first charity Bollywood night, work with the Anthony Walker Foundation and the medical school to diversify the curriculum, and also accidentally lock myself outside the house, half naked, an hour before my final exam. It's all about balance. It would be impossible to reflect on the last 6 years with purely rose-tinted glasses. The last 2 years alone have brought significant and unprecedented change to our lives. We've all faced great challenges, sacrifices, and at times loss on our journeys to reach this point. I hope that today provides us all with an opportunity to celebrate what we've achieved, and that in your worst hours, you are reminded of the adversity that you have not just faced, but overcome, to stand here now as a proud alumnus of the University of Liverpool. There's so much more that I could talk about, but really I just wanted to end with my main feeling today, which is gratitude. I'd like to personally thank all the staff at the school and across the trusts for their wisdom and their guidance over the years. The healing power of a strong cup of tea, a biscuit, and an encouraging word from a tutor is never to be underestimated. Thank you. I would also, still a bit more. I would also like to take the opportunity to thank our loved ones in the audience and watching at home for your relentless support. If it takes a village to raise a child, I'm not quite sure what it takes to make a doctor, but I know it's a lot of work. Friends, family, partners, you've all shaped the best of us in your own way. I know that I personally owed a huge debt of gratitude to my family. I remember calling my mum 20 minutes after she dropped me off on the very first day, begging her to pick me up because I felt so overwhelmed. I'm not sure if I said this at the time, but thanks, Mum, for not coming to get me. I really owe you one. My dad passed away when I was 15, but his determination, kindness, and his joy for life continues to inspire me to this day. And I know that many people in the audience will have loved ones who are sadly no longer with us, but continue to guide us onwards. I would love it if you could join me for another round of applause in appreciation for the loved ones both here and in our hearts. And to you, my friends and now colleagues, some of whom are unable to attend today, working one of the many on-call shifts that we are now so familiar with. I may have learnt practical skills and clinical theory in lectures, but you have taught me grace, courage, compassion, and tenacity. You are the best part of university to me, and it has been a privilege to navigate the first years of adulthood together. May I wish you all good luck in the next chapter of your lives, wherever, whatever, and with whoever this may be. You deserve every success moving forward. Really, I could keep speaking forever, which I think the patients of Tyne and Wear are sadly learning very quickly. But I do really believe that there is beauty in brevity, so I will finish here by leaving you with this quote. Courage does not always roar. Sometimes courage is the quiet voice at the end of the day that says, I will try again tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Olivia, for those reflections. I guess I should say that the football in Liverpool is far better than in Tyne and Weir. But I have a few reflections in the afternoon, and this is almost at the close, you'll be pleased to hear. So the first is, I'm really impressed that so many of you have come today across these two ceremonies, which speaks enormously of the collegiality you've developed over your time here. I'm conscious that many of you have had to rig rotas and take days off and all those things to make the effort to be here. So thank you very much for that. I'm really impressed by that. I hope you feel the same in 10 years' time, in 20 years' time, when you get all those messages about coming to your reunions. So well done. The second thing I'd like to reflect on is, of course, inspirational quotations. There's always a case for one of them. Olivia's given one. I'll give you another one. So, I wish it need not have happened in my time, said Frodo. So do I, said Gandalf the Grey. And so do all who have lived to see such times. But that's not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. And you have come through at the most difficult of times, and you've made the best of those times. So well done to all of you. And my final reflection is a personal one. Sometimes I think, what's my role in today? So when I was thinking what I might say to you today, I was here 5 years ago, with my son who was graduating in medicine. And I was up here and he was down here. And he's now doing an anesthetic rotation in Bristol. So I rang him up to say, the speaker at your graduation, what did he or she talk about? Don't remember. Who was it? Haven't a clue. Don't remember much about your graduation, do you? Oh yeah, it was brilliant. So I'm hoping you have a brilliant graduation day, even though you don't remember too much of it, because you deserve it. You've achieved an enormous amount, and you will achieve a lot more in the future. So thank you for everything you've done. The last task for me is to formally close the ceremony, and I'll do it with a prayer in Latin. The second piece of Latin I'll offer you now, and black marks to all of you who didn't recognize the Everton motto earlier on, but I'll forgive you for that. So I declare this congregation for the celebration of our graduates closed. Salve sit Universitas Nostra, may our university prosper. Quod precantes consergamus. And praying thus, let us all stand together. Thank you for everything you've done.
Graduates and guests, please stand.